Idaho murder trial, evidentiary rulings, and trial preparations. Bryan Kohberger is set to face trial for the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Judge Steven Hippler has recently issued critical rulings regarding the admissibility of evidence. The trial is currently scheduled to commence in August, but significant legal battles are unfolding beforehand. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The defense team requested that the jury be informed about Kohberger's potential autism spectrum disorder during the initial phase of the trial. Judge Hippler denied this request, stipulating that evidence of ASD would only be admissible if Kohberger chooses to testify. The judge reasoned that Kohberger's demeanor is irrelevant unless he takes the stand. Introducing ASD at this stage could potentially confuse the jury and unnecessarily prolong the trial proceedings. The defense argued that Kohberger's ASD could explain what some might perceive as odd behavior at the defense table. However, Judge Hippler stated that he has not personally observed any such behavior from Kohberger. The judge clarified that ASD can be addressed during jury selection, also known as voir dire. Potential jurors can be questioned about whether Kohberger's demeanor might influence their judgment. Furthermore, evidence related to ASD may be presented during the penalty phase, but only if Kohberger is convicted. The defense has also argued that Kohberger's ASD should disqualify him from receiving the death penalty. Judge Hippler has not yet issued a ruling on this particular motion. This decision could have significant implications for the potential sentencing phase of the trial. A key piece of evidence revolves around the testimony of Dylan Mortensen, one of the surviving roommates. Mortensen described the intruder she encountered as having distinctive, bushy eyebrows. The defense has argued that Mortensen is an unreliable eyewitness due to alleged inconsistencies in her recollections, possible intoxication, and exposure to media coverage. Despite these challenges to her credibility, Judge Hippler ruled that Mortensen's testimony is admissible. The judge emphasized that Mortensen has consistently described the intruder as having bushy eyebrows. This consistency, according to the judge, suggests a high degree of reliability in her recollection. Mortensen is the only known eyewitness to the intruder inside the house that night. Judge Hippler stated that it is ultimately the jury's responsibility to determine whether Kohberger is the person Mortensen saw. Prosecutors plan to present a selfie of Kohberger taken hours after the murders to the jury. This selfie will likely be used to highlight Kohberger's appearance, particularly his eyebrows, for comparison. The defense will have the opportunity to cross-examine Mortensen extensively about her memory and perceptions. This cross-examination will be crucial in testing the strength of her eyewitness account. The defense also sought to introduce expert testimony regarding Kohberger's alleged developmental coordination disorder. Judge Hippler denied this request, citing the fact that experts have not definitively confirmed the diagnosis. The lack of a confirmed diagnosis weakens the argument for its relevance to the case. Regarding obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD, the judge indicated a willingness to reconsider allowing testimony. This would depend on whether the prosecution introduces evidence of Kohberger's actions around the time of his arrest. An example cited was Kohberger's wearing of gloves and handling of baggies. The defense argues that OCD could potentially explain this behavior, providing an alternative interpretation. The admissibility of OCD-related testimony hinges on the prosecution's strategy and the evidence they choose to present. This ruling highlights the dynamic nature of evidentiary decisions during trial preparation. The defense filed a motion seeking to guarantee seating in the courtroom for Kohberger's family members. The prosecution raised concerns that some of these relatives might be called as witnesses during the trial. This creates a potential conflict between Kohberger's right to have family support and the need to sequester witnesses. Judge Hippler has requested more information from the prosecution to resolve this issue. Specifically, he is seeking a list of family members who are expected to testify. He also wants to know the reasons for calling them as witnesses and why they cannot be called at the beginning of the trial. The goal is to strike a balance between Kohberger's right to have supporters present and the need to prevent witness contamination. The prosecution has been given a deadline of April 25th to submit this information. A final order regarding courtroom seating is expected before the pretrial conference scheduled for May 15th. Bryan Kohberger is accused of the murders of 4 University of Idaho students in November 2022. The victims were identified as Madison Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. The prosecution alleges that Kohberger turned off his cell phone and changed his license plates in an attempt to evade detection. Crucially, Kohberger's DNA was reportedly found on a knife sheath discovered at the crime scene. Despite the evidence against him, Kohberger has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Prosecutors have announced their intention to seek the death penalty in this case. The trial promises to be a complex and closely watched legal battle. The evidentiary rulings made by Judge Hippler will significantly shape the course of the proceedings. The admissibility of evidence related to Kohberger's mental state, the reliability of eyewitness testimony, and the logistical considerations of courtroom seating are all critical factors. The outcome of this trial will have profound consequences for all involved. The families of the victims seek justice for their loved ones. Bryan Kohberger faces the possibility of the death penalty. The legal community will be closely analyzing the proceedings for its implications on criminal law and procedure. The upcoming months will be filled with legal arguments, witness testimonies, and jury deliberations. The search for truth and justice in this case continues. The world watches as the legal system grapples with the complexities of this tragic event. The trial is not just about determining guilt or innocence. It is about understanding the events that led to the deaths of 4 young people. It is about examining the evidence, scrutinizing the witnesses, and ensuring that justice is served. The legal process is designed to be thorough and impartial, but it is also subject to human error and interpretation. The jury will be tasked with the difficult responsibility of weighing the evidence and reaching a verdict. Their decision will be based on the facts presented in court, but it will also be influenced by their own beliefs and experiences. The trial is a test of the legal system's ability to deliver justice in a fair and equitable manner. The outcome of the trial will have a lasting impact on the community and the families of the victims. It will also serve as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and the need to protect innocent lives. The search for truth and justice is a never-ending process, and the Idaho murder trial is just one chapter in that ongoing story. The legal proceedings are complex and often confusing to those unfamiliar with the system. The role of the judge is to ensure that the trial is conducted fairly and that the rights of all parties are protected. The attorneys for both sides will present their arguments and evidence, and the jury will ultimately decide the fate of the defendant. The trial is a public event, and the media will be closely covering the proceedings. The public has a right to know what is happening in the courtroom, but it is also important to remember that the trial is not a form of entertainment. The lives of real people are at stake, and the outcome of the trial will have a profound impact on their lives. The legal system is not perfect, but it is the best system we have for resolving disputes and ensuring that justice is served. The Idaho murder trial is a reminder of the importance of the rule of law and the need to protect the rights of all citizens. The trial will be a long and difficult process, but it is essential that it be conducted fairly and impartially. The outcome of the trial will not bring back the lives of the victims, but it may provide some measure of closure for their families. The trial is a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. The legal system is a complex and often frustrating process, but it is essential for maintaining order and ensuring that justice is served.